Hi guys, and welcome to the Sunderland vs Millwall match review. So Sunderland did come away with an absolutely whopping 3-0 win at their stadium light in front of the Sky cameras. Usually we have a bit of bad luck on Sky, don't we? But we did really well yesterday. An excellent 3 points against a really good Millwall side. So let's get into it, into the review. Phenomenal 3 points. You know, recently we haven't had a great run of form at home. In fact, our home form hasn't been great. It pales in comparison to our away form. So I felt like we needed a big performance. And my God, did we give it. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And Millwall absolutely could argue their case that they should be, or they should have been sort of clear by the first half, or by the time the first half had gone by. Because, you know, opening 20-odd minutes, Millwall, they were a lot better than us. 20-25 minutes, they were a lot better than us. We were struggling to get a foothold on the ball. We couldn't string a pass together at all. Their physicality was really starting to show. That's what I was saying as I was watching the game. I was just saying it is the sort of typical boys against men cliche, because it really was. I'm not saying that we're sort of half-hearted in challenges, but they've got some big brutes on their side. Their centre-backs were towering over us, winning everything. They were just, you know, they had George Honeyman on their side, who was having a hell of a battle with Gooch. You know, Gooch eventually did come out on top, but originally Honeyman seemed to be getting under Gooch's skin a little bit. But yeah, it was a good performance originally from Millwall, really pressing us. We couldn't get that sort of second or third pass together because of their excellent press, and they were getting in triangles and really pressing us. But at the back, we seemed a little bit dodgy all over the place. The second balls were really struggling to get to when they were pumping balls in the box. But in saying that, yes, they dominated possession. They didn't allow us anything really, and we were sort of sitting back and we were allowing them so much space and time in the ball, whereas as soon as we got it, they got in our face and pressed, as I say. But they weren't creating too much. Thankfully, there was the one chance where it did find the striker, and he sort of swiveled in the box and he has pumped it on a sort of half volley straight at Pato. Done well to hold it through a ton of bodies, but then we did sort of come into it a little bit. You know, the opening 20-25 minutes, as I say, it was mainly Millwall. It was absolutely mainly Millwall. But then we did start to make chances of our own, and my God, it was so frustrating. It was a sort of Amadiello that we saw in the opening sort of couple of months of the season. The first few times we did see Amadiello, my sort of qualm with him, it was the same with a lot of supporters, is there were so many times when he first started playing for us where he'd be through on goal, would have a glaring opportunity, and he just refused to pull the trigger. And this happened again, and I thought, you know, with the form he's been in, there's no way he's going to let himself go back to that kind of player, the kind of player that looks like he had zero confidence. But we played it really well, bombing down the left-hand side on the counter, across to Diallo. He's literally on the right-hand side of goal. Goal is gaping. The keeper is scrambling to get across to the right-hand side. He has half of the goal to go for. He stops it, looks up, he takes an absolute frigging age, and he starts to cut inside onto his left, tries to go onto his right, and then he loses the ball. And the fans are going mental, and rightly so, because I just hate it when players do that. Just put the ball in the back of the net, man. That's what you're there for. Don't try and be clever. But he's fluffed his lines, made an absolute mess of it. To be fair to Diallo, though, since that chance, he really did rectify himself in a defensive manner in that first half, because there were a good few times where they were driving down the left-hand side to leave Gooch for dead because he didn't have the best of first halves, like I say, Lyndon Gooch. And then Diallo would track back. He did very well a good couple of times. But, you know, I do need to give credit to the defence, particularly in that first half. Even though I do say it was a little bit shaky at times, Danny Bart was just winning everything in the air. He was absolutely phenomenal. Same with Luke O'Nien. He was non-stop, absolutely non-stop, those two. And I did say that I wanted to see Alessi and Danny Bart together as a centre-back partnership. But, of course, it was Luke O'Nien and Danny Bart. And then Alessi was on the left-back. But they were both fantastic. And you often forget, particularly when O'Nien was obviously out for a bit, with a suspension, you often forget how important those two can be, or at least Luke O'Nien, when he does drop out of the team. So I just thought, you know, I want a natural defender there. Luke O'Nien's fantastic. He's brilliant at that job. I know he's not everyone's cup of tea, but he's become a very solid centre-back. And Danny Bart, he's been absolutely class. Absolutely first class. The way he controls that back line, he was winning everything in the air. Some of the challenges were absolutely incredible. There's a couple of times where there was some in-swinging crosses. It looked like it was coming in behind the defence. And had Danny Bart not got there, it would have been, you know, Bradshaw would have had a couple of clear-cut chances. But his interceptions and his timing was outstanding, and his experience just shone through yesterday, Danny Bart. So, you know, fair play to him. Now, right on the stroke of half-time, just as we were actually starting to get into it, we actually gifted a golden opportunity to Millwall. So we had it at the back. I think it may have been a Alessi. Gives it back to Pato. You might say he's putting him under a little bit of danger, but he had enough time to even just roll it out to 09, who was on the right-hand side of him. But he tried to just drive it down the centre hard and low, and he's giving it straight to the Millwall man on the edge of the box. He has the whole goal gaping, but it is first time, and he just drag it wide. But it was a massive, massive opportunity. Huge opportunity for Millwall to go in the lead, and it was pretty much the last kick of the half. So, huge opportunity, and then they'll be kicking themselves for that one. But the second half comes, and we were a different side. We were absolutely fantastic. We looked great and organised at the back. It weren't really as messy. They started to pile a lot more shots on, because I think in the first half, they had like 3 shots to our 1. It was really kind of close in that department, but then they started to let rip from distance. A few half chances here and there. There was plenty of blocks flying in. But we were doing everything. I didn't feel like that goal was coming from Millwall at any point. Do you know what I mean? Really, apart from when they threw the kitchen sink a little bit towards the end. But other than that, I didn't feel like we were going to concede, because I felt like everyone was on the same wavelength, whereas in the first half it was a little bit shaky at times. But going forward, we're so much more fluid, quick. Pritch was coming deep to collect the ball, and then getting involved in the play, pushing over to the left, pushing over to the right, and starting these attacking movements, and that's how it started. So I've got fly in my freaking face. Didn't like me giving compliments to Pritchard, did he? But yeah, Pritchard was playing absolutely fantastically. He tried to play the 1-2 on the left-hand side, as I say, with these little triangles. It actually pretty much plays a 1-2 with the Millwall right-back. Because as he's trying to play it in, he has kind of, the Millwall right-back is intercepted, but the ball's bobbled straight back to Pritchard, and he's dinked it over and past the right-back in return. He flies past him, gets down to the byline, pulls it across goal. It's been flicked on by Sims, and there was Diallo at the back post. If he had put his foot on the ball and not put his laces through it like he did, I would have hated that man. But he just took it away from like a yard or so out. Open net, 1-0. Absolutely fantastic scenes. I would do what I say, by the way, on the topic of their right back, McNamara. I think it was McNamara anyway. I really, really like the look of him. Really, really like the look of him. Clark on the left-hand side. Although I do think he had a good game, particularly in that second half, Clark. Not at one point did Clark actually manage to get it down to the byline, because this McNamara would not allow it at all. It was right sticking to him like glue. Really good. And half the time he had, Clark in his back pocket in that sense of not letting him get past him. Clark does like to cut him from left to right, and he did do that, but he couldn't get down to the byline at all. He couldn't take it past McNamara. So I wanted to say that and put that out there, because I thought he was really impressive. If I do spot an opposition player that I believe is impressive, I'll say it, regardless of whether we win or lose. But then we just didn't stop. Pritchard again, he just comes to light. We know what Pritchard's like. He can go quiet for weeks on end. But then when he does come to light, and he shows what he's capable of, he's one of the best players in the league. He's got the ball on the edge of the box. He's waiting for a bit of movement, trying to dig out and work a little bit of space on his own. He dummies 1, he dummies 2, and he leathers it towards the bottom right-hand corner. It has too much power on it, and the keeper can only power it into his own net. His goal, 2-0, fantastic, absolutely excellent. And then we start to ring the change. Embo comes on. I think Embo looked cracking, by the way. When he come in, Pritch come off in the end. Embo come on. I think he looked excellent. He was so influential. And I think when Embo does have his tail wagging as well, I think he was in that sort of comfortable position of being in the lead, which you don't always have the luxury of having. But he come on and his confidence was just showing. The way he was sort of spinning on the ball, sort of flicks and tricks, and he was kind of doing what Pritchard was doing. He was just drifting in and out of the number 10 role, coming over to the wings or coming deep for it, playing little 1-2s and holding on to it, little tricks here, and he looked like he was just simply enjoying himself, and I love it when players are playing like that. So he looked really, really good. And yeah, we had to defend. We had to defend a lot towards the back end of the game. Roberts going as well. Roberts didn't particularly impress me, I'll have to say. I think he got the ball about 4 or 5 times and lost it every single time. He kept trying to take on that left back and he was getting no joy at all, even in really good chances where he should have probably got the ball in the box. Not slating the lad, it just wasn't his best game. Again, whether we win, lose or draw, I will say when I think players have played good or bad. I think Evans and Dan Neil in the middle, I like to see that. And I did say in the previous game that I wanted to see Barr and Neil, but I just thought, let's just get at them. But of course, I wasn't going to be angry at all with Evans starting. Over the last few months in particular, over the last sort of season really, a year, I've started to see Evans' value a lot more. And you could see it, particularly when you try to see a game out, to have Evans on the pitch, it was brilliant. You could see it, again, he's that player who can come deep. He could even sit with the back four and just keep hold of the ball, keep it ticking, keep us in possession, keep us retaining possession. And time can drag, and that's what he's very, very good at, and he was doing that. He was bossing it there. It's a fair play to Evans as well. But then towards the last moments of the game, one of the last kicks of the game, ball's pumped forward. Ellis Sims, it's bouncing the ball's bouncing. The keeper's commit himself. I keep on hitting this plant, and you've probably seen it, but I know full well I'm just nudging this plant a lot. But yeah, the ball's pumped over the top. Ellis Sims, he managed to nick in just before the keeper, rounds him, and then puts it in the back of the net to end it. 3-0. Absolutely fantastic result. Like I say, we did have to do the nitty gritty in this game. Plenty of times you need to do the dirty work, but that's what you need to do against teams like Millwall, who are a good side. They're a good physical side, and that's not to say that that's all they have in their locker. They had a lot of quality on the floor as well, but after the opening 25 minutes, we managed to minimise their threats, and they did again. They made chances of their own. Pato was forced into a couple of half-decent saves in that second half, but the second half was ours. Absolutely 3 goals. You can't debate that. And I think in the end we probably deserved it. We turned it around in that second half excellently well, defending when we needed to and took our chances. So 3-0, absolutely fantastic. And I think now that was our game in hand. And usually, how many times have we seen over the years, particularly when we're in League One, when we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 games in hand, and we've absolutely cocked it up, because it's so easy to say, oh no, we're fine, we'll be better than them because we've got 2, 3 games in hand. And you're just predicting that we're going to get all wins. You need to win those games. We've seen it so many times we're in League One. So it's very refreshing to see us get that game in hand and just batter Millwall at home. A very good Millwall side. Very, very refreshing. Very good. Very positive. And now, like I say, I think we're only a point out of the top 6. I think we could be 5th or 6th with a point. So it's a really, really good win to come back from the break. We get another week now, I believe. And I think it's West Brom next. So we'll have to see. But yeah, absolutely buzzing with that guy. So my man of the match for me, I'm going to give it to Danny Bart. Absolutely outstanding. I could easily give it to Pritch for his contribution. But Danny Bart, he was just absolutely outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. But you guys let me know what you guys thought of the game and your man of the match as well. But if you have enjoyed, hit the like button for me. It would be massively, massively appreciated. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already to become a fully fledged member of the Sarny Army. But for now, take care and stay jammy. Get in!